Good evening. The meeting of the St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education open session is now called to order, June 10th at 6:55 p.m.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to go into open session pursuant to Missouri Rule 610.021.
Seconded.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Board of Education norms.
All right. These St. Louis Board of Education norms were adopted April 9th, 2019. Decision-making, we believe our first priority and greatest concern is the educational welfare of all students in St. Louis Public Schools. We align decisions, discussions, superintendent evaluations, district partnerships, budget allocations, et cetera, to the current transformation plan. We demonstrate respect for diversity of thoughts, backgrounds, and experiences, roles, and decisions once they have been made. We embrace healthy debate. We acknowledge board members with differing opinions during discourse in both open and closed sessions to gain clarity and engage in meaningful dialogues. Professionalism. We demonstrate engagement by thoroughly reviewing the board packet and other documents, arriving on time to meetings and work sessions, remaining on topic during discussions, and respectfully interacting with each other, the superintendent, staff, and all stakeholders. We demonstrate respect for diversity of thoughts, backgrounds, and experiences, and roles. Communication. We demonstrate professionalism and respect for other board members, the superintendent, the district staff, by adhering to timelines and deadlines outlined in the workflow calendar and any other tasks as assigned. We conduct all official board-related email communications using our @slps.org email accounts. We read and reply to all board emails within 72 hours. We conduct all official board-related phone and text communications using district-issued phones. We check voicemail and return calls and texts within 72 hours. We are ambassadors in the community, and as individual concerns or questions arise, we will seek to understand the information and gather pertinent facts in order to direct stakeholders and staff to contact appropriate district personnel. We channel concerns or requests for information through the board president, who will direct those requests to the superintendent in an organized, concise manner. We recognize the importance of proactive communication and agree there will be no surprises. The board president shall be the official spokesperson for the board. The superintendent shall be the spokesperson for the district. Board members who receive requests for board issue positions shall direct the request to the board president or superintendent. And finally, confidentiality. We respect and maintain the confidentiality of closed session items and the board's discussion on those items. We refrain from discussing confidential business in public with members of the press or with anyone else not privy to such information. If it is necessary to provide a statement to the public following a closed session, the board president and superintendent will agree on a unified response prior to making the statement.
Thank you, Member Marston.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's board meeting.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for. You just need to second it. I'm sorry. Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Call for a motion to approve the draft minutes for the previous meetings, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4.
I'll make a motion to approve the 5/27/2025 work session minutes.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 2nd, 2025 board retreat minutes.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I make a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2025 board retreat minutes.
Second.
Ms.
Discussion. No.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes.
Yes.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I make a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2025 special board meeting minutes.
Second.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones. Yes. Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Good evening. As we begin tonight's meeting, I want to take a moment to recognize the strength and commitment of the St. Louis Public Schools community. Though the traditional school year has ended, the work serving students continues. On June 2nd, we launched Camp SLPS, providing thousands of students with continued learning, enrichment, and support over the summer. I want to thank everyone who helped bring this program to life, from classroom teachers and instructional aides to site leaders, custodians, and central office teams. I also want to acknowledge the resilience of our community in the wake of the May 16th storm. The impact was felt across the city. Many of our families and staff members experienced real loss. And yet, even though there are own challenges, so many in this district stepped up to help. Even though they had their own challenges, so many in this district stepped up to help others. That kind of compassion is what defines public education at its best. And finally, I want to share that the board recently completed a 2-day retreat facilitated by the Missouri School Boards Association. It was a collective, thoughtful experience that brought us together and reaffirmed our shared mission of providing meaningful educational opportunities for every student. I'm grateful that we were able to find time to work together. On behalf of the Board of Education of the City of St. Louis, I thank you for your continued service, your compassion, and your belief in what's possible. We look forward to the work ahead. Thank you. And now our superintendent's reports. Dr. Burry-Chade.
Thank you. I'll continue with the spirit of excellence. Tonight, the spirit of excellence shines on someone who represents creativity, community, and quiet leadership, qualities we aim to nurture in every St. Louis Public School student. We are proud to recognize Ms. Pasia Anderson, a teaching artist with Springboard to Learning, who was recently named the St. Louis Poet Laureate. Her coronation was held just last week on June 2nd at City Hall. This personal milestone also reflects something bigger, the depth of talent, passion, and purpose found in the educators and mentors who serve our students every day. Through her program, Voice and Verse, Ms. Anderson brings poetry and performance into St. Louis Public Schools classrooms, reaching a new school each semester. Her lessons encourage students to speak up, share their stories, and find meaning in both the written and spoken word. Her journey, shaped by spiritual mentors and a deep love of language, has led to a work featured in Crossing the Divide, Humans of St. Louis, all the art and drum voices review. She's also served as a mentor and lead teacher, teaching artists with several art education programs. In 2020, she was named Community Impact Artist by the St. Louis Visionary Awards. We're proud to have Ms. Pasia Anderson as part of the St. Louis family. Her work reminds us of what is possible when we support creativity, affirm identity, and lift student voices. Please join me in celebrating the new St. Louis Poet Laureate, Ms. Pasia Anderson. Great job, great job, great job. I also want to take a moment to recognize someone who reminded us beautifully that insight and investment can come from anyone at any age. At the June 7th Reimagining SLPS session, we were joined by 7-year-old Cameron. He attended with his parent. During the interactive portion of the meeting, Cameron listened carefully and then shared his thoughts about the future of our school district right alongside the adults in the room. His reflections were thoughtful, clear, and full of care. He reminded us all that every voice matters and that our students are not just the reason we do the work, but powerful contributors as well. Finally, I want to center us on what must remain our focus going forward: the portrait of a graduate. This is our true north, the foundation of our academic vision, the lens through which every improvement must be evaluated. As we align the DESE Comprehensive School Improvement Plan and M66 requirements, it is critical that every school-based and district-level presentation speaks directly to how we are building attributes to our portrait of a graduate. Just want to share some upcoming dates. June 11th, we have another Reimagining SLPS community meeting, which is tomorrow, Phase 2, and that's located at Compton Drew. And then on June 16th, we will send out our second round of transportation assignments. And then we have more Reimagining dates that will be coming. Our last day of summer camp will be June 27th. Thank you. At this time, we will have our legislative report by our lobbyist, Mr. Carroll. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are we on? Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you tonight. Forgive me, I'm moving a little slow. I had major foot surgery the day after session ended, and this is the first night I've actually had a shoe back on it. So, but I'll be all right in a couple weeks. But had to get that taken care of. Dr. Borshade, Madam President, members of the board, those that are gathered here tonight, thank you for the opportunity to allow me to come and give you an end of session report in person. This is the 28th year that I have given this report to the St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education, and it's an honor to do so, and I truly mean that in representing this district and the children that we serve. For those of you that don't know me, I am Steve Carroll. I'm president of Carroll & Associates Government Relations Lobbying and Law Firm. I'm a former member of the legislature, served 10 years. Hannibal, Missouri was my hometown, the largest city in my district. During my tenure in the legislature, I concentrated on public education, budgetary matters, healthcare issues, civil and criminal law. But since that time, my firm, we represent a variety of clients, but certainly my favorite is public education. And having represented this district since 1998, it has been a privilege without a doubt. I can tell you at the beginning of this legislative session, there was a lot of unknowns in January. I didn't really know what to expect. We were coming in with a brand new governor, brand new Speaker of the House, brand new President Pro Tem of the Senate. We had 52 new House members because of term limits. That was almost a third of the entire body that we had to get to know, get to educate on our issues. We had 7 new senators. We didn't know what the so-called Republican Freedom Caucus was going to be up to this year. As you know, in the past several years, they pretty much shut down the Senate and not getting much done. So we just didn't know what to expect, not to mention there were almost 2,700 bills filed. That's the most ever in the history of the legislature. And not to mention the thousands of amendments, hundreds of committee subs, floor subs that we had to keep track of. That was a lot to have to wrap your arms around and watch. Of those, approximately 400 bills we were monitoring on behalf of elementary and secondary public education. So it was just a lot to oversee. You know, the session started off pretty well, I mean, for a legislative session, post-COVID, so to speak. And, you know, there were arguments, there were filibusters in the Senate, but more or less they were playing nice with each other for once until the last week of session and the train ran off the track. And those of you that read my report know what happened, that on the Wednesday they called the PQ in the Senate, which is hardly ever done. It's only been done once since, well, last time it was 2017 when they did it. Never in my 40-year history have I seen 2 PQs back to back, which is what the President Pro Tem did in the Senate. And why they did it on Wednesday with 2 days left in the legislative session, I have no idea. That's one of the reasons we're in special session right now. Why I'm going to have to drive back to Jeff City tonight for session tomorrow, because Keogh didn't get his so-called sports facility package through on the last couple days of session. So once the Senate did that, dropped the PQ on Prop A and on Amendment 3, the Democrats pretty much shut the Senate down for the rest of the year, so it was over. And the only thing the House could do was just take up whatever Senate bills that they had already sent to them without making any changes. So they only had 12 bills to deal with, so they took care of that on Thursday, and they adjourned a day early. So it kind of ended on a bad note. The Democrats have threatened to retaliate next legislative session. We're not sure what that means yet, but I'm sure we'll find out. They haven't done that in the special session so far. They went ahead, approved the $1.5 billion for the stadiums for the Royals and the Chiefs, and then also $100 million for the tornado victims here in the St. Louis area. So the House is going to be taking that up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and I'm sure they'll pass it just as well as the Senate did. In regards to public education, like I said, there was a lot of legislation out there this year, and we killed a lot of bad bills that would have harmed traditional public education. I mean, there were so many tax cut bills out there. I mean, I don't like paying taxes any more than anybody else, but you have to fund your services. You have to take care of our kids. You got to take care of our seniors. There was one bill that we killed that would have done away with all of the income tax, all of the corporate tax, a $11.5 billion project. Where are you going to come up with the funds to fund education doing something like that? There were dozens of bills like that this year that we were able to kill. The only one that we didn't was the corporate tax, the income tax on capital gains, which the governor was pushing and made it through. It's going to have about a $200 million price tag, but it is something the state can afford right now. The other bills, I mean, we did away with a bad critical race theory bill, 1619 project, you know, DEI legislation, you know, statewide expansion of charter schools. I mean, there was just a host of things. And then certainly House Bill 711, which was the open enrollment bill that almost every public education organization came out against. Now, it did pass the House, but I made sure, in case it did pass, that we had an exemption for the St. Louis public schools, that this board every year could vote to opt out of it since we were part of a DSEG settlement agreement. So we kept that language in just in case. So it went to the Senate, though, after it got out of the House by just an additional 3 votes. And they brought it up on the floor, but they made it even worse. I mean, they put everything in it but the kitchen sink, and allowing charter schools also to be a part of open enrollment. Well, when they brought it to the floor, Senator Lincoln Huff, who is a Republican senator from Springfield, but a very strong pro-public education advocate, offered an amendment that caught the other side by surprise, and we knew it was coming, that said open enrollment would not take place in any year that the state didn't fully fund the formula, didn't fully fund the transportation formula, and didn't fully fund the minimum teacher salary grant program. That sent the other side lobbyists scrambling, trying to find no votes, or we were able to pass it on a 17-16 vote. And then the next amendment offered was by Senator Nuremberg that would have stripped the charter school language out, and when that was offered, the sponsor of the bill just laid the bill over and it was dead for the rest of the year. So we lived to die another day, I guess, so to speak. But we were successful with that. As far as the budget, at the beginning of the year in the governor's State of the State address, he indicated that he was not going to fully fund the formula by $300 million. But yet at the same time, he was going to give $50 million to the ESA tax credit voucher program, which has never been done before. It's a tax credit program. Last year in Senate Bill 727, it raised the amount that you could do the tax credit to $75 million. The problem is nobody's utilizing it. There's only $17 million so far in tax credits. So the education choice groups went to the governor and said, we got to get something. We got to get some GR into this thing to get it off the ground because nobody really wants it. And so Kehoe agreed to do that. He kept the $300 million from fully funding the formula. The House passed that version, sent it over to the Senate, and there again, Senator Lincoln Huff, who's chairman of the Appropriations Committee, said, we're not doing that. We're going to fully fund the formula. We're going to meet our commitment from last year on 727. If you want the $50 million, we'll keep it in, but you're going to put the $300 million back in, and we're going to fully fund the transportation formula, which is very important to us. And that's how it ended up, and it was sent to the governor. So I feel pretty good about that. We also kept our $2.5 million line item appropriation for our reading literacy program. It wasn't in the governor's recommendation, even though DESE recommended it in their core. The House didn't pass it, but again, I got Lincoln Huff, Carla May, Steve Roberts. We got it back in. It's on the governor's desk. Now, since he didn't recommend it, we're not sure what's going to happen, but with Carla May and Steve Roberts voting for the stadium package, I'm sure they got some things in return. We're hoping that that 2.5 was one of the things that they requested stay in. So we're going to be meeting with the governor's staff to try to keep it in. Because so far, this is the 5th year. We've gotten $10 million for our program over the previous 4 years. And that's the largest line item appropriation for any school district in the state. And we'd certainly like to see it keep there. And as far as the governor, even though he didn't recommend the $300 million to fully fund the formula, I don't think under the Constitution or Article 4, Section 26, that he can veto that appropriation. Because if the money is there in the budget, he can withhold it under Article 4, Section 27, but he can't line item veto it. And right now, we're sitting on about $4.1 billion surplus. So I don't see any way that he can say that he can line item veto it. So I think it's going to be safe, at least from this standpoint. Now, moving forward, as I said, we're in special session. Hopefully that will finish up tomorrow. And also, I would recommend, and every board is different, but every year we have had a legislative platform, a legislative package, and I would certainly encourage us to continue to do that. You know, when I was first hired, after my interview in November of 1997, that first year in 1998, and Hattie Jackson was the president at that time. I don't know if some of you remember her, Bill Purdy, Harold Brewster were on the board. They didn't have a legislative platform, and so the second year that I lobbied for them, I suggested, let's do one. Let me put together one for you, because we ought to know where we stand on things we support, oppose, and even legislation that we want to draft and try to pass. And so they went along with that, and every year since, we've had one. And we've had a lot of successes with that the state has duplicated on what we have offered. For instance, just the second year that we had it, we put together, Bill Purdy, after a board meeting one night. We said we had too many vacancies for certified teachers. We had too many substitutes. We've got to find a way to get more certified teachers in the classroom. And we came up with the idea, well, let's let retired teachers come back and teach for up to 2 years, sign a separate contract with the district, and still get to keep their retirement. And we passed that. And you know what? 5 years later, the state liked it so well, they passed it. So, and then likewise, back in 2006, we were able, you could drop out at 16. We said, listen, we need to keep our kids in schools longer before they drop out so we can try to help them graduate. And we raised the dropout age to 17. Well, it's worked. So far in the state, 3 years later, they did the same thing. So, I mean, we've had some successes. We need to continue on that. You know, the past few years, you've had a legislative committee that we get together and meet in September, October, and November to try to put together our package. I would suggest doing that again because December 1 is a pre-introductory of bills. So, you know, I hope that we can continue that. It's been successful, and we need to build on that success. And then lastly, moving forward, the governor has put together a committee or commission, whatever you want to call it, to make recommendations on a new foundation formula. And those recommendations have to be in by December of 2026. So it's giving the rest of this year and next year for the committee to meet. It's made up of citizens from across the state. Unfortunately, I'm not too confident in what's going to come out of this because of the members, you've got some that have no background in school finance. You've got a member from the Missouri Soybean Association. You've got a member from Missouri Farm Bureau. You've got a member from several organizations that have nothing to do with public education. You only have one retired superintendent and one current superintendent on it. You have several that are school choice, and Keough has already indicated that I want you to come up with a formula that was based on my recommendation this year, which means $300 million less than what we really need to fund the formula. You cannot have a formula moving forward with less money than what's in the current formula now. It just doesn't make any sense. So we're going to have a fight. I've been involved in writing two foundation formulas, one in 1993, the Outstanding Schools Act when I was in the legislature, and the one in 2005. And that is the hardest legislation there is to try to pass. Because every House member, every Senate member is trying to protect their school districts. There's going to be winners, losers. What's going to be, in a foundation formula? I mean, currently, the change that we just saw from 93 formula to 2005. Back in 93, you had weighted factors for special education and free and reduced lunch. Well, by the time we got to 2005, I made sure that we put in a weighted factor for English as second language, because we had so many students like that in our district, and it costs more money to educate them, and there should be a weighted factor. Now, as we move forward, maybe we should also look, if we keep the current formula structure the way it is, maybe we ought to look at a weighted factor for homelessness or students with high mobility. We know it takes more money to educate those students. So, these are the kind of things that we're going to have to watch. So in 2027, believe me, it's going to heat up, and we'll be dealing with potential of a new formula. So with that, I'll just stop there. I'm going to, like I said, head back to Jeff City now, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. I look forward to working with you in the days ahead, hopefully in the years ahead. I mean this sincerely when it has been one of the best honors of my life to represent this district, because there's a lot of good things that go on in this district, and our kids under challenging circumstances. And the people in Jeff City need to know that. And I try to tell them that every day that I walk in the Capitol. And so I do thank you for the privilege. So with that, Madam President, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions.
Any questions?
You have to recognize me.
Pardon me. Mr. Conover.
Mr. Carroll, thank you for everything you do for us up
Thank
in
you.
Jeff City. I've seen your work now for at least the last 5 years, and it's immensely impactful for this district. I'm not sure anybody else could do quite what you do, and you and your team do up there. So I greatly appreciate it. I just wanted to ask you, so second of all, I am one of the co-chairs of the Legislative Committee on this board, as is President Collins Adams, and I hope she would agree that we'd be very willing to commit to coming up with a legislative platform for the next session. So I hope we can work with you together on that.
Look forward to it.
And then I just wanted to give you the quick opportunity to tell us a little bit more about the retirement fix that happened this year.
Oh,
and
that's right.
where we're at with
I'm
that.
glad you brought that up.
Yes,
I
thank you.
forgot about that. The district has negotiated with the retirement board of the St. Louis Public Schools over the last 3 years. And last year, the retirement board tried to pass a bill that would have just been devastating financially to the district, would have cost us over $10 million a year. And so, but at the same time, the retirement system is on the watch list because it's below 70% funded. And so we've got to get above that 70%. And so even though we killed that legislation a year ago, which would have been extremely harmful to us, the chairman of the retirement committee in both the Senate and the House said, listen, you better get together in the off session and figure out a way to fix this. Otherwise, we're going to write a bill and you may not like it. So we got together finally this summer. We got together again in the fall and then again in December. The retirement board certainly wanted a bigger contribution rate from us than we were willing to give because we just couldn't afford it. Got together with Angie Banks at the time, who stated this is what we can afford moving forward, trying to get us to the 70%. And so we came up with a bill, even though the retirement system and some charter schools didn't like it, we were able to pass it in House Bill 147 this year, which caps our contribution rate at 14%. So it's something that we can afford, something that will get us to the 70% by the year 2031. So that seemed to satisfy everyone. Obviously, not everyone. They would have liked more money, but that's something that's feasible that will get us where we need to be.
And I was under the impression that might be something the governor's considering for line item. Is that something you've heard anything about? Or?
Oh, he'll sign the bill.
Okay, great.
I'm certain of it because it's part of a larger retirement bill. There's
Yeah.
like 9 different provisions in the bill dealing with police, firefighters, retirement systems.
They got wrapped up. Okay,
I'm pretty confident that he will sign it.
great. Thank you so much
So
for being
because
here.
you have both the retirement chairman in the Senate, Senator Black, and the retirement chairman in the House that have asked the governor to go ahead and sign the bill. So I feel pretty confident.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And,
Yep.
I just want to express at least, I hope this board's commitment and at least my commitment too. We've had quite a bit of success partnering with our rural neighbors across the state as an urban district, and I think the more we can make those rural-urban partnerships to fight for public education, because surprisingly, we face a lot of the same issues.
Sure.
I would hope we can continue to do that. So.
Well, and I was part of the law firm that did Senate Bill 781 and DSEG settlement agreement. But when they interviewed me to become the lobbyist back in '97, I told them, I said, you know, there were other people, and a lot of the ones trying to get the job were from the city and some different backgrounds. And I said, you know what you really need? I'm a former outstate legislator. There's so many things about this district that outstate legislators don't know. And I said, I think I can be that bridge to that gap and help you. And believe me, I've been able to work with outstate legislators, both Democrats and Republicans. Not many Democrats in outstate Missouri anymore, but been able to work with them to get our agenda forward and try to protect our district.
Any other questions? Ms. Jones?
This is not a question, this is a statement. I am so proud of you. It's been a long time, 1997. And I remember Ms. Jackson, I remember Bill Purdy, and I remember sitting out in the audience years and years and years and years ago. And I just want to thank you. You've done so many positive things for this district, and I thank you for your dedication. I just wanted to make sure I say that to you because it means a lot.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Appreciate that. I'm not sure where 28 years went by so quickly, but it's been a challenge at times, but it certainly has been gratifying.
Any other? Dr. Richade?
Mr. Carroll, I just want to
Yes.
say thank you for your advocacy in Jeff City for us. You have been our champion, our voice, and I just want to thank you. This 2.5 for the reading literacy program, thank you. The making sure that we have an exemption for our open enrollment, thank you. And just making sure that each and every time that there is something that needs to be shared at Jeff City, that you're there to advocate for us. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I'll keep sending my reports to you. I hope you get time to read them. Sometimes they get a little lengthy. I apologize, but there's a lot of stuff going on down there. So just the way it is.
I personally want to thank you for answering any of my questions and guiding me through this process, because there's a lot to learn, but you advocating for our district is extremely, extremely valuable,
Okay.
and I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm a phone call away. Anytime you need to talk on anything, please feel free to call me.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Get back to Jefferson City safe for us, Steve.
Next, I'll have a representative from Train. Do we have a representative from Train? Okay, we're going to move into our academics. Dr. Dino is going to share some information as it relates to our academic progress, and Ms. Douglas is also going to be sharing with her as well. So there are several slides that goes with this. At the very end, you'll notice that there is a slide for each of those schools. Dr. Dino will stop prior to getting to those slides.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Good evening, President Collins-Adams, Vice President Hubbard, members of the board, Dr. Bourchade, and members of the audience. I'm Allison Dino, and I'm here to provide an academics update this evening along with Ms. Rochelle Douglas, our Director of Assessment. I want to start by saying thank you to our assessment and research and evaluation team for pulling all of this information for us this evening. Our SLPS strategic values, we talk about what those values look like across our student goals. Tonight, we will be focusing on equitable and multiple sources of data as we look at our STAR reading and STAR early literacy and STAR map data. Tonight, we're going to talk kind of about growth and proficiency in other areas, and that shows demonstrates our commitment to our values. As we look at our spring STAR assessments, they support our attainment of all of our student success goals, third grade reading, third grade math, which sets us up for college and career readiness and supports a climate and culture. Because when students feel confident, they can be more competent. As Dr. Bourchade shared, our portrait of a graduate, this is the lens through which we know if we are successful with our students, they have all of these competencies. In particular, college and career readiness, critical thinker, and competent are all highlighted this evening. We have two topics on the agenda. The largest one is our spring STAR assessment data, and then I'll be sharing a really brief academics year in review about all of the various initiatives that have come out of the academics department this year. So our testing window in the spring was April 14th to May 2nd. There is a requirement by DESE that we cannot start our spring assessment window too early before the end of the school year, and that's why there is an overlap between our STAR assessment window and our state testing windows, because there are parameters within which we can have both of those occur. Our kindergarten through 12th grade students were tested in either early literacy or reading and math, and we use our reading and math scale scores to provide MAP performance level projections. There is a correlation between how students fare on the STAR reading and math assessment and how they fare on the MAP assessment, particularly in grades 3 through 8. Those correlations are not the same at the high school level because those students take end of course assessments specifically around English 2 and algebra content, which are not necessarily mapped well to the STAR. We want you to also note that our STAR early literacy and STAR reading percentile rank below 32% indicates that a student requires a reading success plan. That 32nd percentile matters because in the 23-24 school year, the state had a 25th percentile requirement, and this year they changed to a 32nd percentile requirement. Even though DESE requires kindergartens not to have to take the reading assessments until the winter or the January window, in SLPS we do go above and beyond by having them take it all 3 times. So how does this match with our reading success plans. Students in grades 2 and beyond who don't meet the threshold to be considered a probable reader also take our STAR Early Literacy Assessment. So STAR Early Literacy, or SEL, as you're going to see in some upcoming slides, is the assessment for all students in K through 2. When they meet the threshold on that assessment of being considered a probable reader, or are in grades 3 and beyond, then they also take the STAR Reading Assessment. All third graders and beyond take the STAR Reading Assessment. Sometimes students take the STAR Early Literacy Assessment when they're beyond second grade and into third grade, because it also helps, it is a foundational reading assessment, and so sometimes it's a way to gather more information and pinpoint what other foundational skills students may get. And our reading success plan score cutoff for 2024 was the 32nd percentile. Previous to that, it was the 25th percentile. This is our second year of these reading success plans, and our first group of these students will be moving to middle school next year, which is why you're going to see data about students in grades K through 5 with reading success plans. So here's the information about our reading success plans. You will note the yellow bar is from the fall, the blue bar is from the winter, and the green bar is from the spring, and the percentage of students who scored below the 32nd percentile. In kindergarten, all of those students take STAR Early Literacy. In first grade, we have a combination of students taking STAR Early Literacy and STAR Reading, and in some cases, students take both assessments. Overall, there are fewer students with reading success plans in these grades this year than there were last year, even with the percentile going up. So we have a greater capture rate at the 32nd versus the 25th percentile, but in SLPS, that was still 500 fewer students needing reading success plans. When we look at second and third grade, you'll see over the course of the school year, there is a decrease in the percentage of students qualifying for reading success plans. And the same holds true in grades 4 and 5. You've seen me come up before and talk about reading and talk about what our plans are for next year. You also, even though we're seeing a decrease, these are large percentages of our students in elementary school qualifying for reading success plans, meaning that we do need to work on foundational reading skills. So I appreciate that you approved the use of the supplemental phonics materials, and we anticipate that we will see even greater decreases moving forward as we have these materials and teachers receive the professional development needed in order to be successful with students with these programs. I'm going to ask Ms. Douglas now. We're going to switch to start talking about mean scale scores and targets, and I'm going to ask her to come share that information.
Thank you, Dr. Dino and Dr. Borchade and President Collins Adams and board for allowing me to share some of the information as well. When we talk about the scaled score, just another metric used from our STAR reading and math assessments. And in this particular slide, we have the reddish orange representing the fall scores and the green representing the spring scores. The black lines across the top are the targeted measure, so I'm gonna say it slow so I don't get tongue twisted. The targeted measure for students to be projected proficient or above on our MAP testing. Again, as Dr. Dino already indicated, the alignment is really close on the, even though the second grade doesn't take the MAP, they do get a projection. For second through 8th, it's very aligned. 9th through 12th, it's less because of the content-specific test, as Dr. Dino alluded to. So you can see in reading that our scale score, mean scale score for all the students who tested increased for our grade levels from the spring to the, from the fall to the spring, except for our 9th graders in this slide. And so in our discussion for presentation, we dug deeper to see why that is. So one, we're going to change the way we present the data next year. this is unmatched data. So you can, all of the students who took it in the fall and all of the students who took it in the spring, regardless if they had a score in each. So the average is different children for each of those bars. So that is one adjustment we'll make for next year. But one of the factors we think impacted that -12 is that we had many more students taking it in the spring that did not take it in the fall because they weren't with us. So they were new to St. Louis Public School, which we think is part of the reason why that number dipped. If you take just the matched students in 9th grade, they actually increased, I think it was 23 scale score points. So that looks odd, and we'll fix the way we report our data going forward so that we don't get oddities like that. The next slide is the same type of information for math. So again, the black bars are the goal for projecting proficiency on the MAP test. And you can see in those the change in the scale scores at the bottom. I didn't say this on the other slide. The number underneath the grade level, so like under grade 2, 821 was the average scale score, and then 875 for spring. So then in the bottom is that change, so that you can see in math, every grade level did increase. And again, if we look at that data with matched sets, those numbers would be higher as well.
So we have been talking all year about why we need to make 2.5 years worth of growth, because we want to see greater increases in proficiency, but in order to do that, we need to be moving within our bands. As you look at the next slide, you will see on the left the reading performance, projected performance for grades 2 through 5, and on the right you see the math projected performance in grades 2 through 5. You'll see the difference between fall of this year and spring of this year for each individual grade level. You will note that we are experiencing a growth in the basic proficiency level, which is where we start, right? We know that we have lots of students who need to grow in order to reach the proficient and advanced levels, and in order to get there, we need to make a lot of growth so that we can start to see those indicators of proficiency. So we're seeing some increases in that way, and when you see things like these increases in scale scores, that contributes to these overall increases. We can also see for grades 6 through 8, the projected performance levels from the fall and the spring. Again, the reading is on the left, and the math is on the right, where we also see growth in that basic proficiency column. We will come back to you at the end of the summer with our actual MAP data. It will be released on July 7th, and then we'll be able to see how close these predicted performance levels are to what the actual performance levels are for students. We've been talking a lot about growth, and so in the aggregate, you can see here what our growth on reading looked like from fall to spring. We've accounted for every student who has 2 measures, because you can't have growth if you only took the test once. And so in the far left column, you see the number of students who have taken the test at least 2 times. That could either be fall and spring or winter and spring. And their change, anything up to 0.9, so almost a year, anything between 1 year and 1.9 years, anything from 2 to 2.4, 2.5 and above, and then that maxed out column. As we've talked about before, the maxed out column means the student can't take more questions. They've reached the ceiling of capacity of that particular assessment. In reading, all grades can max out at the 12th grade 9th month. And so if you are, as we have some 3rd graders, 5 of them, they were able to take that assessment all the way up with a reading level of 12th grade 9th month, so they've maxed out their growth there. When you add those together, you will see that accounts for 2,654 students. We want to see more students who are reaching the 2.5 years growth and maxing out, but it's where we're starting from and how we're moving forward from here. Now, when we go to the math, you see there's far more students in the maxed out column. That's because on the math assessment, it maxes out at 3 years, 3 grade levels ahead of where the student is in school. And so if the student is a first grader, the math test will max them out at 4th grade. They're not able to take more after that. So reading maxes you out at the very end, 12th grade, 9th month. Math maxes you out 3 grade levels ahead of where your current grade level placement is. And when you add our 2.5 years worth of growth and the maxing out, we have 2,893 students, for a grand total of 5,549 students who either met 2.5 years worth of growth or maxed out the assessments in each of these categories. We're focused on growth because you start with growth in order to get to proficiency. And so that's why we're sharing that information in this way. And as we continue to have our schools write their school improvement plans, they will have growth and proficiency targets that they're looking for, because you can't do one without the other. That concludes our high-level overview. We are happy to answer any questions you might have.
Board Member Hubbard.
How likely is it that the reading growth and the math growth are the same kids on the district growth totals?
So there are some students who maxed out in, or maxed or had their growth category in both. It's not a one-to-one correspondence. Not every student who did well on reading are the same students who did well on math, but there are some students who did both. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And can you just explain, like I'm a 5th grader, maybe an 8th grader, what percentile, like the 32 percentile, is that for the national averages? That's what we're comparing?
So when we talk about the percentile range for that, it means that you, for the 32nd, that you scored below there's 32% of student nationally also scored where you did at that range. And so it's about a bell curve when we're talking about percentiles. And so the state used to be was about the bottom quadrant, the 25th percentile and below, and then they decided to increase that cut score, or the cutoff, to the 32nd percentile range for this school year. And that's not just for us, it's for every district in the state in terms of writing those reading success plans. In 23-24, in the spring, we had 4,262 students who needed reading success plans at the 25th percentile. If we, at that time, were applying the 32nd percentile for that, that would have jumped up to 4,655 students. So at that time, had we been at the 32nd percentile, we would have had reading success plans for 4,600 students. Where our success here is, this year, in applying the 32nd percentile, we have 4,150 students who qualify for reading success plans. So that means that several of those students who were on them last year successfully completed them for this year.
Okay, great. And then I took stats, I promise, but the mean scale scores that you're using, how does that work? Like the STAR mean scale scores and targets.
Are you asking how we calculated the mean scale score?
I guess, or is it our mean only, or is it other people's means?
So the target is the scale score, the target scale score that STAR Renaissance has indicated for students. Any student who achieves this scale score, there is a high likelihood that they will score proficient or advanced on the map. The orange and green bars are the mean scale scores of our students in SLPS. And so our mean scale score in SLPS in 2nd grade was an 895. and the mean, which was just above the mean scale score that STAR has identified as the cut point for likely to be proficient on the map.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. When Board Member Hubbard mentioned the 32 percentile, she asked if that was a national norm or Missouri, because Missouri requires the reading plan. So was that Missouri or national?
So the selection of the 32nd percentile is the state of Missouri selected that. But the actual percentile is applied it's a national percentile, yep. But the selection to use that as the cutoff was a Missouri choice.
And with the implementation, the development and implementation of a reading success plan, these are shared with parents?
Yes, the reading success plans are shared with parents and students. It's part of a conference that everyone has together, and they talk about what's going to happen at the school, what the student can do, what the parents can do at home to support it, and then they meet and do progress monitoring. A lot of that work happens during our school conferences in the fall and then in the spring as well.
Thank you. Board Member Foster?
Thank you. I think my fellow board members surfaced a lot of my questions and concerns. Can you just explain to me, and even for the people in the audience, what the difference in process is for advocating to get a reading success plan versus, say, my student needs an IEP and they need to be assessed or have conversations? Are those similar processes? How are those different? And then I have a second question that's specifically related to the data you shared with us today.
I'll start by saying, in order for a student to qualify for an IEP, there has to be several layers. And that includes, first of all, making sure that our core instruction, our students understand our core instruction. And if they don't understand the core instruction, then we implement Tier 2 interventions for a number of weeks. And if they do not understand or respond to Tier 2 interventions, then we implement Tier 3 interventions. And if they do not respond to that, then there is there could be a request from the parent, there could be a request from the teacher that we need to have a request for an IEP meeting. And then we would go from there. A reading success plan is different. I'll turn it over to Dr. Dino.
Thank you for answering.
Yes.
Oh, certainly. So the reading success plan, the state requires that any student in the state who meets that threshold or below that threshold be provided with a reading success plan that has some required components. And the school develops that alongside the family. The process for evaluating for special education services, and if students qualify for special education services and then get an individualized education plan, is also a team process, but it's not related to one score, and it's not a required. When I say required, we don't say to a family, your student scored here, you must go to special education. We do say to a family with RSP, your student scored here, we must write a reading plan to help you be more successful.
Okay, yes, that's helpful, I think, to name.
And
I
then
wasn't assuming that.
The other thing I want to share is that every student has a reading goal.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think, though, a reading goal is definitely different than a reading success plan, especially now that the board has approved a new curriculum, which I'm excited for. And I think will definitely bring progress, right, for all of our students at the district. I don't think our students aren't capable. But to your first point and first recommendation, to present the data in a more accessible and clearer way, because we're not sure if students, right, were counted twice in some of these average numbers if they score 2.5 or 2 more years of growth in math or reading. Am I understanding that correct?
So what you saw, if we can bring that PowerPoint back. So each student in these columns are only in there one time. And so on this, in the increase 2.5, a student is only either in the increase 2.5 or in the maxed out column. So in math, no student is counted twice. In reading, no student is counted twice. Every student is represented in some column on both slides. Yeah. So,
I think
but the students themselves in any one set of data are not represented in there 2 times.
I think the twice means that the student could have maxed out in reading,
Yes.
and they could have maxed out in math.
They certainly
That
could have
same
been.
student.
And we can add,
Yeah.
we could add that level of information if that is of interest as well. But but that's something that we would be looking forward to for next year.
Mr. Conover?
Thank you, Mrs. Dino, or Dr. Dino. Could you, it's a lot of information for some folks. Could you, or let me say this, would it be correct to say, based on this information, that we are seeing significant success and improvement across reading and math for our students at the district that we study through the STAR assessment, that we assess through the STAR assessment?
So I'm not a statistician
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of statistically
yeah.
significant, but we are definitely seeing growth in students on both the STAR reading and STAR math data, yes.
Yes, that's what I wanted to make sure, and I wasn't asking for the statistically significant. I know that sometimes comes up here, but that wasn't my question. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. It's clear to me from this data and from what you've presented in the previous meetings, and it's something that we typically face a lot of false information around, so it's good to get these numbers out there, and I'm glad to see them in these presentations, so thank you. And like Board Member Foster said, I'm excited to see the curriculum improvements as well, so.
Thank you. Continue.
All right, yes, we can continue. So beyond the work in terms of classroom instruction and professional learning this year, the academics team and our school teachers have led several different initiatives. We had an academic bowl in the winter. We had lots of assessments happening this year. We worked on a Bands in Schools program. We reviewed our seals of biliteracy. Many teachers took co-teaching for English language learners so that they could support language development and content development simultaneously in schools. We had CTE expansion across our district. We had district-wide STEM fairs this year in every single building. While many schools had had STEM fairs previously, now we know that it's important for all students to have those opportunities. We had lots of ELL family engagement, and in front of you tonight you have some books that are written by students. The ELL team leads a program called Bake a Book for students and families to come together, and they write books, and then they publish those books at the end of the school year, and so each of you has a sample of books written by our students. The ELL office offers family engagement opportunities on every non-school day. So when teachers are having professional development and learning in their schools and their students aren't in school, the ELL offers some type of family activity, whether it's around science or math, and these Bake-A-Book sessions as well.
And the authors are where? The authors are?
The author information about who the students are is near the back of the book. You'll see a little author bio. If you open up the back cover, I don't know if it's the very last page or the one right before that, but it will tell you which school the student is from, what grade they're in, because all of our students are readers and writers. We worked on language access this year, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had a question. Are we able to give the audience members one of the books just so they can pass around and look at?
If you want to share your book, yeah.
Thanks.
It's up to you. We worked on language access this year, particularly our telephonic interpretation. In the past, access, which staff members had the capability to utilize the language line was much more limited. This year, every school had its own dedicated language line, and every teacher received information on how to use it. And we had like tens of thousands of more calls to families from the language line this year than we've had in the past because we opened up that access. We did We had several Literacy for the Lou events that you all also participated in. We had mentoring professional development. We had 117 of our teachers participate in mentoring professional development. We tracked our math goals. We had students participate in National History Day. In fact, we had a student who was just in Washington, D.C. this past weekend from Sumner participating in the National History Day event. Our school leaders received professional learning on science of reading training this year. We worked on gradual release and academic conversations as ways to strengthen our classroom instructional core. We rolled out our e-home libraries. High school teachers participated in sheltered instruction observation protocol, that's SIOP, other types of professional learning for English language learners. Students and teachers completed monthly writing prompts in English language arts for elementary school. And within our reading and writing initiative, upstairs on the 3rd floor, you can still see their pre and post work. We had several teachers participate in the reading and writing initiative. We had our science pilot, and we're going to have some new science curriculum. Again, thank you for that, to allow our students to bring forward lots of experiential and NGSS aligned work. We had our phonics pilot. We've had Z-Space in all of our schools to help students, again, have more hands-on activities and learning with science. We had our spelling bee, and we worked through learning labs in terms of helping principals learn how to provide feedback. This is just a super quick overview to say that all of the things that the academics division is working on is to support all of our students to be able to demonstrate the competencies of Portrait of a Graduate, and we couldn't do it without all the work of the teachers and the principals and the members of the staff who lifted it up to make it happen, so thank you.
I have a question, Dr. Dino. This book, can it be put on our website? Because, we hear negative about St. Louis Public Schools all the time. And like Dr. Boyer say, we got to tell our own story. I mean, just like you said, and I'm going to throw it out there because that's what I do. You said somebody from Sumner. And I'm sorry, that's where I graduated from, because I'm proud of that. And things like this, we have to show the community that's looking at us that we are doing what's in the best interest of your child every day. Don't go by that negative stuff. Watch your child read. Watch your child write. So I'm proud of this, and whatever child did it, their parents should be proud. So this stuff should be on our website, I'm just saying. Thank you, Dr. Dino.
Thank you.
I wonder if the student could get royalties if we publish it.
Are there any other questions or comments? Dr. Bouchardeh?
There are no other reports in that section. I do know that during our last meeting, we had a presentation with our budget presentation. And I just want to make sure that the board knows that there have been some updates to our budget presentation. And it is now listed as 15.18 in our consent agenda. If there are questions that you have regarding the updates to the proposed board, we can answer those questions.
Superintendent, just to be clear, so this is action item 1518?
1518, yes.
Which is it's not on the consent agenda, it's an individual item for action. But are you suggesting we should discuss that now?
I would like for you all to know of the additions, the amendments.
Yes.
Because additional revenue has either come in or we have some actuals.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure we weren't looking for necessarily questions right now, just to assent that we know that there's been changes, and we'll ask questions when we get to that item.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you. No, I appreciate the heads up.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Bouchardeh. We now move to public comment.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the rules of the road for the public comments part of the evening. Out of respect for our board members and their mission to conduct district business, we will continue to enforce guidelines for public comments. They are as follows. 1, citizens interested in commenting will sign in on the iPad between 6 and 6:30 p.m. before the board meeting. Do not hand documents directly to board members. Give them to the secretary at the far left of the dais. I gotta work on my legal. Dais. Number 2, commenters may take an available seat in the room, up to 20. We've got some extra seats here tonight. 3, public comments will occur at the end of, no, we've changed this. We've moved them up to hear from folks earlier in the meeting. So number 4, each commenter will have up to 3 minutes to address the board. Each commenter must remain respectful and refrain from speaking derogatorily about anyone. Do not use names. All comments will be allotted 30 minutes. If you are not called to speak, you may submit your information in writing or return to the next scheduled board meeting with a priority number. And number 7, only one individual or group should speak to the same point on one topic.
Please, yes.
Good evening to our board president,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams, Superintendent Borsade, Vice President Hubbard, and to all of our board members and to the waiting audience. First we have William Monroe, who will discuss Harriet Tubman.
Good evening. You guys pulled up here in front of the school board, in front of the building, and you guys saw a yellow bus. Some of you might have seen a yellow bus out there. I have some grandchildren, and I have become sort of I wasn't happy with the way our children have been treated, going in these school buses on Metrolinks and other cabs and what have you. So I took it upon myself to produce a school bus, a 13-passenger bus that's sitting out there right now. It's air conditioned. Spent a lot of money on it to make it right and respect. And I really thought about my grandchildren when I see the way our children are being taken to school. I got 8 grandkids, and I love them, and that made me go into this. I asked the board to consider this project, and I want to say I've been listening to the things that are going on in our community, in our school buildings, especially in North St. Louis. And I saw a newspaper article recently where another city had taken schools and actually made places where kids can go and be safe, homeless shelters and what have you. We got enough vacant buildings here to make it happen. We can make it happen. And most of all, we got enough money to make it happen. So I ask you to consider all these things, and I thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now have Lauren Reed Preston, who will discuss reading.
One of these times, maybe I won't talk about reading and just be shocked, but no, not today. Okay, hi, good evening. My name is Lauren Ray Preston. I'm a parent, an educator. We have so many challenges going on right now. I mean, my heart goes out to all the families impacted by the tornado, the schools impacted. This is a really difficult time. But as a school district, we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, primarily teach our children how to read. I dug into the data this afternoon, what was posted in the PowerPoint, but also the school-by-school data. What I found was that 172 third graders in our district tested in the 32nd percentile or below on the STAR Early Literacy Test. From my professional perspective, this means that 172 third graders cannot functionally read. And likely, those students do need to be referred to be evaluated for special education according to special education laws. 50% of the students K-12, as we've heard, 4,150 students are on reading success plans. The students seem to be making small gains. So there are some that are exiting, but the gains are very small. I would love to see statistical significance because it's very small. Half the students in the district made less than a year's growth in reading. That's from your data. I'm not just up here being negative. I'm just reading data because it's what I do. Why am I saying this? I'm a parent. Some people may not know what it's like to have a child or to have a child who's struggling to learn how to read, but I do. This is my story. My only motive is that kids learn how to read and they don't have to fight like I did to make sure that my daughter learned how to read. Your own data shows that we're not doing enough. We're not moving fast enough. We're not moving with enough urgency. So I'm just asking the board to do what's right, not because the state will come in and make you, eventually they will, but because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Greg Michaud.
Good evening. I have a handout here. Can I give it to somebody to pass out? Oh, sorry. My grandson's in the second grade at Malincrot School, and my subject's vacant schools. I live across from one, Fanning Middle School. I realize your main focus is education of your students, but 3/4 of the education of the children receive is in their neighborhoods and the environments they grow up in. The school district is getting set to abandon more schools, further contributing to declining neighborhoods. Strong schools mean strong communities. Superintendent Boershade and the school board must take the leadership role in supporting vacant schools and their reuse to ensure healthy environments for children and their parents. The mayor and the board of aldermen do not want to leave neighborhoods behind, and they are part of addressing these concerns. Yet it is this board that must take the leadership to speak out on environments left behind by the vacant schools. This leadership role in St. Louis is important for the school district to embrace. It will make St. Louis schools a place to be where the actions happening, the board will be seen as a positive force in St. Louis communities. There's too much to say in 3 minutes. I've attached other information, which you have. And the information includes Kansas City and their 4-step process for repurposing schools. It's a process involving citizens every step in the search for new uses while striving to build healthy environments for families and growth of children. I hope you take the time to read and consider the importance of positive outcomes for the community. Education is the key to unlock success for St. Louis. Thank you for your time.
Velma Bailey, torchbearers.
Good evening. I came to speak to you today about swimming lessons, water safety, and learn to swim lessons for children in the St. Louis Public School District. I received a letter today from your attorney that says that the school district basically isn't interested in providing lessons for children, and they said that the letter is written from the Board of Education, on behalf of the Board of Education. I really would like for you to bring up this topic at a meeting. I really would like to make a presentation, since I was invited and then disinvited, but I would like to make sure that you understand we're not trying to create a program in the school system, regular curriculum. We have an after-school program, which probably could be an after-school club. so it shouldn't have to pass through the same criteria. We're providing funding for 2 chaperones for the children. We're providing bus funding. We're providing money for a driver. We're buying the kids swimwear and all those things are at no cost to the district. And they are taking lessons at City Recreation Center, which extends your sphere of instruction to the children, because there's a place they can go after school and they can stay till 7 or 8 o'clock, and they can have a dinner and they can have more fun activities. And if this board would reach out, I'm sure they'd be ready to have some more academic support. Many of them have computer labs, and they also work with kids with tutors. So this is a great opportunity, and I'm hoping this tragedy of the tornado opens itself to a triumph where we'll reach out to the city mayor, the president of the Board of Aldermen, and establish ourselves as the educational leaders that we are in the city. We started a summer day camp in Fairground Park. I remember when I was a kid reading a story about a man in 1492 that sailed the ocean blue. He went to a country and he stuck a flag in the ground and he claimed it for himself and his country. So we've done that in Fairground Park. But guess what? You don't have to do that kind of work. The St. Louis Public School District is already established as the educational leader in this region. Even when they took schools and children from our district, we still rise. So I would like to be able to make a presentation, but in the meantime, I would like for the school district to approve our request to have inclement weather space and food service, because we're going to start our summer camp on June 16. And we'd also like for you to reconsider the swimming program, because the letter says that we've been asking for years, and that's not true. So I just think it's just some things that need to be clarified, and maybe at a time when we have more time to speak, and I can really get you the information you need and answer your questions, because I believe there are at least 4 of you who want children to live, and maybe more. So I want to thank you for that. And in closing, I want to say I sent you a letter that showed 2 pictures. One was a picture of a boy that rescued some people that were drowning. He's a teenage black boy. So do you want...
Chester Asher, goals.
Good evening, and I'd like to congratulate the new board, Board Members Foster, Marston, and Dr. Adams, and let the new board and the leadership under Dr. Collins Adams and Ms. Hubbard know that the Coalition of STL Kids is here to support this board change. I believe the voters voted for change, and we want to support and help you change and turn this district around in any way that you can. Hopefully starting with literacy and having more of our babies read. And so just know that you have that support. One of a minor thing, but as we talk about change, your rules state that board will respond to people who present, members of the public, in writing. That never happened for the previous board. I hope with this board it will be different and the board will actually respond. A point about the data that was presented. I know the presenter said that less kids this year have a reading success plan than last year, which is good, but also know that the district has less kids, right? And so that may not necessarily, so I think next time really ask for percentages because that may not be indicative of actual improvement. And so I'm here to really reiterate our call for a citywide goal. Again, 20% of our babies, only 20% of our babies are reading on grade level. What will it be next year? And we are suggesting that the district set a 10% improvement as an expectation, as a goal that you can support your superintendent to achieve, and you can hold her accountable to achieve. Because if our schools are not teaching our kids to read, if 80% of the kids who come to school cannot read on grade level, what are we really doing as an educational institution? And so thank you, and again, you have our support, and we hope that this year will be a very, very successful year. Thank you all.
This concludes public comment.
All right, we get to all share. Waiting for it to ask. I got it.
Sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty here. My battery's going out. We now move to our consent agenda items.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 12:1 through 12:41.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have just one question about one of the items.
Yes.
Or actually, it's two questions about one of the items. So 15.9 is the assessment calendar.
Wait, we're not.
We're on 12.
No, not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're on 12.1 and 12 through 12.41.
I'm sorry.
Just
I
consent.
was mixing up the consent agenda with the items that we added.
Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams? Motion approved.
No, item number 13 is items for discussion. We have no items for discussion to be presented at this time. Section 14, items for information. A motion to
Board President, could we clarify if we need to consider a vote on this? I think we just need to.
you're right, it's
Yeah,
just for
great.
information.
Thank you.
We don't need it. Items for action, beginning with item number 5.1.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 15.1, Renaissance Learning.
Second.
Any discussion?
For record, I'll be abstaining from this vote, seeing as this curriculum has been approved by my job. So, just for record.
Thank you, Board Member Foster. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Abstain.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Is there a motion to approve item 15.2?
I move to approve item 15.2, SLU Future Teachers STL program.
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Abstain.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Abstain.
Motion approved.
Is there a motion to approve item 15.3?
I move to approve item 15.3, SLU Rising Teachers.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Abstain.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Abstain.
Motion approved.
Is there a motion to approve item 15.4?
I move to approve item 15.4, SLU STL Teaching Fellows Program.
Second.
Discussion?
This can be
Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Abstain.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Abstain.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Abstain.
Motion approved.
Item number 15.5.
I move to approve item 15.5, acceptance of funds, Missouri Arts Council.
Second.
Discussion.
It looks like a great event. That's my discussion.
Mr. Conover?
Oh, it just looks like a great event. They're going to see a play. That's awesome.
Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Make a motion to approve item 15.6, approval for a new contract with IXL Learning.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.7.
I make a motion to approve item 15.7, Folia Destiny Systems contract renewal.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.8.
8.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 assessment calendar.
Second.
Discussion.
We've arrived to the one that I have two questions about. So this is about the assessment calendar, and my questions are, what assessments are used for dyslexia screening? And secondly, are they administered universally to all K through 12 students, or only those below the 32nd percentile on the STAR assessment? The reason I ask is because dyslexia affects about 20% of the population, and we all want to make sure that any students who are dyslexic are identified and receive the support they need.
Dr. Bouchardee?
Thank you. We'll make sure to get that response to you. Thank you.
Further discussion? Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.9.
I make a motion to approve item 15.9, sole source purchase of the ACT for pre-ACT/ACT assessments for the 2025-26 school year.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.10.
I'll make a motion to approve item 1510, Afghan refugee supplemental appropriations for schools grant.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.11.
I make a motion to approve item 1511, College Board for AP exams for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.12.
I move to approve item 15.12, purchase College Board PSAT assessments.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones, Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.13.
I'll make a motion to approve item 1513, Data Recognition Corporation assessments.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes? Yes. Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.14.
I make a motion to approve item 1514, the $3,000 increase related to music repairs.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Items 15.15.
I'll make a motion to approve items 1515, performing arts supplies purchase.
Second.
Discussion.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.17.
I'll do 1516, if that's all right. Is that okay? I'll make a motion to
Sorry,
approve.
Item 15.16.
Is that
I'm
okay? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I was
I mean, we
looking
can
at the
skip ahead,
screen.
but I'll make a motion to approve item 1516, refugee school impact grant.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. Just a general question. I know that here it says the application deadline is July 1st, 2025. Do we feel good that we'll hit that target to apply for the grant?
Yes, that's why we put it on for today.
Okay, I'm just, again,
Yeah.
clarifying for the people who do not know. Thank you.
Yeah. Items 15.17 and 15.18
We
are
gotta
the
vote
new
on
items that
16.
were on here, right? I just want to make sure, we're going to get to
yeah,
the vote. Okay, good. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.17, K-12 Safety Emergency Operation 2.
I'll make a motion to approve item 1517, the K-12 safety emergency operation tool.
Second.
Discussion.
Can you just give us a little more picture? Like when I hear tool, I think of Swiss Army knife or Leatherman. Can you explain?
Because this is a new item. Yeah.
Yes, can you just explain what it means?
Mr. Watson, I'm going to ask that you step forward.
Thank you, Dr. Barishade.
So the tool is basically a repository, so we will be able to house all of our emergency operation plans. It's come through Missouri School Board Association, and this is something new that we'll utilize at the beginning of the school year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 15.18.
I'll make a motion to approve item 1518, the fiscal year 2025-2026 proposed budget.
Second.
Discussion.
I was just wondering if you could highlight any of the updates, if you found any of them surprising. Or if not, then then there's not much to say.
There are several updates. Ms. Johnson, I'd like for you to come forward to share the updates. There are about maybe 15 updates.
Good afternoon, Board. President Collins, Adams, Vice President Hubbard, other board members. Good afternoon. I quickly would like to go over the changes as stated in the FY 25-26 budget proposal. If you remember, during my presentation on May 28th, we talked about grants, and we talked about that budgets are usually developed using an estimate of grants. And that usually after the budget is approved, then we get the true allocation. So what you're seeing the changes are is that we got notification of some of our grants, the actual allocations. So we have updated the budget using those allocations for some of those grants that have come in. And I'll give you an example of those grants. So in total, our estimates, which turned into actual allocations, was about $7.5 million. For instance, the Perkins grants, we received $1 million. For the CTE base and performance grant, we received $330,000. The IDEA Part B grant, we received $5.2 million. And then we have the ECSE 611 grant, that's a transportation grant. We received $568,000. The refugee grant, $117,000, and the Afghan refugee grant, $223,000. Now, when we talk about the overall net decrease, this is both in revenues and expenditures. So when we estimate grants, we estimate the grant in total in the revenues. And then in expenditure, we're estimating that every dollar that comes in terms of the revenue, we're going to spend those dollars. So when you see the net decrease in the change, both in the revenue and the state, under that line item, when you look at your page, if you guys don't have the budget in front of you, go to summary number 4. The overall net reduction was $868,395. I have included a crosswalk that takes you through every page, every fund, whether it was a decrease and or an increase, and you can trace each step of the budget what that increase and or decrease was. You should have received a copy of that explaining the change. I'm going to give you a kind of overview of those changes again. For the federal revenue reduction, the total federal revenue decreased by $877,547, mainly due to cuts in 4 grants. Our Afghanistan refugee grant, we have a cut of $756,000. Our refugee grant, which is a little different, of $22,173. Our Perkins grant, there was a decrease of $88,770, and our ECSE grant, 611 grant, which is transportation, of $14,256. We did, however, receive an increase in 2 grants. The CTE base and performance grant, we had an increase of $9,152. Again, this is an increase in our estimate between our estimate and our actual allocation. And then our IDEA Part B grant increased by $4,471. When you start to look at how these increases and decreases affect our expenditures, what our expected costs are, the largest reduction when you're looking at our cost reduced as well as our revenue, because remember, some of our grants coming in, we may have estimated higher than what they came in, versus our expenditures now, if we're getting less grant money, we're actually going to spend less because we have less money to spend. So our largest reduction occurred in supplies and materials, which was about $774,000, and purchase services of $93,874. And you'll see that line item on the crosswalk that was provided, and then you'll see in parentheses means a decrease, non-parentheses mean an increase, and you'll be able to follow that. There are, for example, some functional areas Remember, we talked about functional areas codes where you can look up the exact code. So we have a functional area of 1271, and I'm just giving you an example. I know right now you have to see the crosswalk, but we're seeing decreases under bilingual education and grants management and vocational tech education. So when you look at that crosswalk, it will take you through the entire budget and show you where those changes are. Any questions?
So, and if there's a decrease in an area in the budget, but we're obligated to provide the services, you're saying that comes up, decrease in an area in a grant-funded budget. We're obligated then, because we still have to give the services, to take it out of other funding sources.
That is correct.
And that creates a deficit.
A spending decrease in our
Spending
fund
decrease.
balance.
Yes,
We
this
like to
goes
use
back
that
to
word.
that exercise. It goes, then we would have to take money out of our fund
Fund
balance.
balance to be able to.
Yes, that everybody spent.
So when we did that exercise, when we know we did it based on an emergency situation, unfortunately, but we also, the first part of that exercise was like, if you have, what items would you increase versus decrease? And as we talked about, we know that under certain grants, there are people that we support, teachers, ICAs, ICIs, I may be using the wrong term. And we also support supplies and materials, purchase services. So those costs are not affecting those persons, but decreases in some of the services and/or supplies that we are providing under that grant.
Thank you. Any other discussion? No? Okay, Ms. Vaughn.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
Wait,
question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You shook your head like, oh, sorry, Mr.
Sorry,
Conover.
yeah,
Well, you livened up the evening.
raise-
Okay,
I can
thank you.
raise my hand, President Collins Adams and Superintendent Borsche, do you want me to direct questions to Ms. Johnson Miller or to you all for? Okay, great. Just two quick questions, I think. With respect to item 2311, Board of Education Services, there's a $2 million increase in expenditure this year. I've asked previously, and Board Member Jones has asked previously what that increase is about, and so we're just hoping to get more detail about that. I'm sorry, I can repeat myself.
Yes, please, thank you.
Item 2311 is Board of Education Services, and there's a $2 million increase in cost, actually almost $2.5 million. Was just curious, some of the details there. Board Member Jones and I have asked about this previously and haven't gotten any information, so.
Okay, I would have to get back to you and give you that information. I thought I had answered that information,
yeah.
but I will review it and provide that to Dr. Borashade for response.
Nope, that's perfectly fine. And then item, I think it's, let me find it again, sorry. There's a lot of things in the budget. I can't find the number, but for legal settlements, we have a pretty big increase in that as well. If you had any more detail for us on that, that would be helpful as well.
Yes, we can provide
Okay,
more
great.
detail on that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Ms. Hubbard, you have a question? We are too. Ms. Foster?
Just for my clarity, and this is for other board members. So then this is an item for action, then? Okay. But we still have two outstanding questions.
Yeah, I
Mr.
mean, I can
Conover.
speak. Yeah, I can speak for myself on this one. I mean, I have some idea of what the details to those questions are, and I'm looking forward to getting more information, but they won't prohibitively affect my vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for my clarity, because I'm hearing you on that end, that the questions that we've had, Dr. Bruchette will get the answers to us, and we will, but it doesn't impact.
It's not impacting my vote, if that's the question.
A change in the budget or anything that we would have to. It's not a major. Okay, great.
Yeah, that's a good way to
Yeah.
put it. It's not a major
Okay,
concern.
thank
yeah.
you. All right, Ms. Vaughn.
Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Hikes? Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Marston?
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard?
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Barisha, thank you for the details in the report, too. That was extremely important to the rest of us. Thank you. Section 16, board reports. At this moment, if any board members have announcements, reports, or remarks, I open the floor to you. Please turn on your microphone. Mr. Conover.
Just under, I guess, legislative here, just wanted to reiterate the commitment that I have as one of the co-chairs of the legislative committee, and I would guess that President Collins Adams does as well, to creating a policy draft of our goals for the next legislative session in accordance with Mr. Carroll. And I'm looking forward to making some progress on that because we anticipate a difficult legislative session, and I know the President and I are very excited to work together on that. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Foster.
Yes, this weekend I attended College Bound's Cap and Gown Gala. I went as an individual person, but was again very excited to see that one of our own students from Roosevelt High School received a large scholarship to attend Washington University. I think it was a testament again to talk about while we are living through a disaster and we're working through it, our students are still deciding to show up every single day and try their hardest. And I was just excited to be in the room to congratulate that student and wish her many, many successes. So, Bree, if you're watching this, because I told you to watch it today, I'm glad to give you that honor, and you really, really deserve it. And thank you to the staff who supported her as well.
Ms. Hubbard? Oh, Ms. Jones?
Go ahead. Okay. So I had the opportunity on the last day of school to visit some of the receiving schools to take the students and staff of the schools that were damaged. And there weren't that many kids there, especially for the schools that had been damaged. But it was really encouraging to see everyone working together. And I cried a little bit. But I just wanted to thank all of our schools that receive children and remind the ones that have been hurt that we haven't forgotten them, and that I don't know if I can speak for the board, but I'm pretty sure we are committed to North City getting rebuilt. I don't know what that means in the future, but I don't want it to be a wasteland. I also want to say thank you, Dr. Borchardt, for your emergency plans. One of the principals shared with me that they had a plan and they knew what to do, and it was not stressful or as stressful because of that. So thank you for getting those done.
Thank you.
And I would, Ms. Jones.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to say thank you to the students who graduated here to 2025. I had the opportunity to attend these graduations this year. That is the Central Visual Performing Arts. That's Vashon High School. That would be Virtual Academy of High School. That would be Soldan International. That would also be Metro Academics. That would be Clyde C. Miller. That would be College School of Medicine and Bioscience. That would also be Gateway STEM High School and McKinley Classical Leadership Academy. I was just so happy to be able to have a seat on stage and look into the faces of the children, the students, the scholars that we are here to serve. It's one thing to give all payout, talk about something, and it's another to actually be there and to know why we're spending this time on this board. Yep. You know, there is no pay, but the pay for me is really rich in having the opportunity to help someone else's child, to change a family's life by giving them an opportunity to experience a great education. And it was just so enlightening just to look at the students and look at their parents and look at the joy on the people's face. But the thing that also grabbed me was we talked a lot about kids going to college, but I'm hoping in the future that there will be a bigger focus on the trades in our schools, in the graduation, and that with all the rebuilding of St. Louis, that we're going to have a new St. Louis and a new St. Louis public school, that our students are included in that when it comes down to the trades. I've noticed that a lot of people are talking about our school buildings, but what I also notice is when the school buildings close, especially in my neighborhood in North St. Louis, because I don't live on the fancy side, whatever, there's nothing going on. And as soon as the schools close, people come in, professional groups, and they destroy the schools intentionally. And you can see that there's a professional job that goes on. They go in and cut the pipes, have water running all through the schools. They take the windows out. This is not somebody just on drugs, like people try to make like it is, just coming in and tearing the school up. These people are doing this intentionally to destroy the neighborhood. So when you destroy the school, you destroy the neighborhood. And then you send people in, and they come in and they talk about the school board and what we're not doing. But what are they doing? Well, we all have an opportunity to do something to help our community, because this is not an easy job to do, to sit up here and be attacked. I don't mind that this is 19 years of my life. And I was just thinking, when I looked into these kids' eyes, they're 18, 17, 19, and when they go out into this world, they need us. They need some financial stability. They need help. And it's just time with the tornado, and it was just so hurtful just to see what happened to those people, and even myself, that it's time for us to help one another. Help our students with the CTE, to help them go to school when they graduate. And this is what I wanted to say, because this is our future, our students. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Board Member Jones. I want to thank everyone that's really given from their hearts to be able to help and they are victims of a tornado. No one would choose to be in a tornado, so they are victims of it. And Board Member Jones and I had, on the same day after our graduation, just ended up in the neighborhoods coming home to be able to see in separate cars, and talked about the devastation that we saw and the looks on people's faces and how horrific it was. But I'm proud of the fact that so many people came together and they did what they needed to do to start pulling this community together. I'm especially proud to work with the individuals sitting at this dais right now. Several of us did go to graduations, and I'm really proud of Donna Jones going to so many, because they know her. She's been around for a while. They know her. They expect to see her. They love her, and they want her there. And we will do a better job of all the rest of us being there also to be able to support our students. But to highlight some of the other things that I witnessed other people doing, I watched Mr. Conover, who came here immediately to 801 to be able to offer his assistance. And Ben Morrison, who now, if you see him with it, don't ask him to do anything for you, but he now has a chainsaw and has been volunteering in communities to be able to cut down trees. He's getting good at it. Ms. Hubbard, who also went into the schools to be able to see what was going on, go into neighborhoods. You know, Tracy Hikes, who is out there every day to be able to talk to individuals in the community to see what they need. A.J. Foster, who's going to events and staying around and staying in touch, not just with the community, but she's the voice of young people. When we have a person that really wants to continue to give, she could very easily say, oh, this is too hard to do. I can do something else, and she hasn't done that yet, so don't discourage her from doing such a wonderful job. And then the day that we had to work with the National Guard, Dr. Barisha Day and I were out there in the rain. And you don't see a whole lot of that on that news report, because they zoom into your face. When they zoom into Dr. Barisha Day's face, if you look at that report closely, you'll see that she's wet because we have been standing in the rain, and you know, several other cabinet members were out there too. So thank you, Mr. Square, for being out there with us, because it was, Mr. Watson, it was a tremendous effort from everyone, and I'm proud to be able to be a part of that. So thank you. And Ms. Vaughn, who has to listen to all of us every day, all the time, multiple phone calls, who never gives up. So thank you, Dr. Barishade, and all the work that you're doing, and don't stop.
Thank you. Thank you for your support to the entire board, to the cabinet, and to the community. Just thank you all for your support and continuing to hold us up here in St. Louis Public Schools. Thank you. Before we adjourn,
Yes, we have one more.
10.2, we never saw a representative from Train. I'm going to ask Mr. Watson, would you come and speak about what needs to happen? A high-level overview of what needs to happen so we can move forward with the work that needs to be done.
So there was some work done at Ashland Elementary, and due to the tornado, some of the work in terms of production for a lot of their heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems had been paused until a decision is made whether or not we're going to move forward with the manufacturing of their chillers, rooftop units, et cetera. So it was a big project under the energy management company, the ESCO company, to do a lot of upgrades to their heating and cooling systems.
And so the ask from Train is, do we move forward with the work or do we pause?
Discussion?
So just to get clear, so is there a request for, like, a need for an approval here, or is there something you need us to review, or just to sort of like affirm and then later ratify a contract or something like that?
There's a need for approval going forward. They want to hear that we approve the continuation of the work there. You have one more thing, Mr.
I
Watson?
want to add one more. There's a cost impact.
Yeah.
So if we pause because they're manufacturing this chiller, we would have to pay 20% or 25% of the chiller, which is around $300,000, just because they've already started the process.
And we had to pause because of the tornado. So they want to start back working because the process, they was somewhat in the middle of the process.
Correct.
So the tornado slowed them down. Now they can get back to work. But with the tornado, there was added infrastructure problems, so to speak, correct? So they got more problems added on to what they was already doing. More work, so to speak. Or their work was still intact, if I'm phrasing this right.
So
Let's not speak definitively. That's why we needed Train here. We just know that
Okay.
they are asking for more funds to continue the project, and if it's a go, it's
Okay,
approved.
okay.
But we know there's more work to happen.
If we go forward, I'm sorry. If we go forward, can this chiller be used in any other buildings or on top of other buildings?
the chiller is customized to fit that particular school, Ashland.
Okay, thank you.
If we pay the 20%, I guess, fee for pausing, would we get that back as a credit if we move ahead later?
I have to follow up to get that answer.
Question. I hate to interrupt, sir. I'm sorry, sir. If we go forward, would this allow us to have that school ready for the school year? Or close?
That is not an answer that
We
we
can
could
give.
have, right,
Okay.
at this point. We don't know what their timeline is. We don't know what they will find on the inside. We just don't know at this time. We would
Okay.
love to be able to say, yes, that will make it
I'm just
happen by,
trying-
but we
I'm just trying
don't
to get
know that answer.
I don't know how we can approve one way or the other when they didn't send a representative to be able to answer our questions. It's like, kind of.
I don't disagree.
aware.
That just means by default, the work stops. I don't disagree, though.
And work stoppage has a price tag, but work continuing and us not being able to use it later has a price tag. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, we still need an answer, so I don't know how we could.
Well,
Mr. Hikes, you seem to
Well-
have a little bit more knowledge on that.
Well, if I'm not being too forward, how much, since we know if we don't do it now, we got to pay 20%, which is 300 some thousand. Can I ask, what are they asking for now to go forward? Is it more than 300? Close?
I don't have that.
You don't have
figure
that, okay.
In front of us.
I was just trying to, you know,
But this is so they can continue with the chiller and manufacturing the chiller that they have already started. So this will allow them to continue, in particular to the chiller.
all right, so, and I'm not, hope I'm not interrupting anyone. They have stopped progress on manufacturing the chiller. So, no,
With
no,
the ship-
manufacturing,
with
it's still in the shop being made.
Yeah, with a shipment date of June 26.
So if they stop, okay, I'm good now. I see what they need in my head.
That's, yeah, looking for that. So just so I understand, I think Mr. Hikes is making a case for the fact that this is something we may need for the building. I think, as President Collins Adams has pointed out, the problem is because we don't have a representative here from Train, nor do we seem to have answers about price tags and that sort of thing. It just puts us in a difficult position to vote on anything concrete. And if we're just signing a blank check or something like that, right, which I don't think is the intention here at all, but that puts us in a pretty nebulous position. So I would have loved to have them here. I know you all invited them here. I'm not sure
We
why.
did.
I'm not sure why they're not here. But given that, it just puts us in an impossible position. So that's, we just wanted to contribute that.
Well, not necessarily, because not necessarily because I understand what Train is trying to do, because they need to continue to go forward with the project. Because from my understanding, the project, it won't be done till it won't be done by the school year anyway. But that was never in the plan anyway. But in order for them to continue to build that piece of equipment, and they need a certain amount of funds. So I'm under the what word I'm looking for? I believe that our chief of buildings has been on the job site and can see what's going on. And I believe him to stand there, I believe that when, unfortunately, I've been in the field, so I believe that it'd be in our best interest, you know, to go forward. And I got no skin in the game. But, I mean, by me knowing what the process is, I'm saying that here again, that's Tracy Hike's opinion, and there you go.
Ms. Foster.
Yeah, to echo Board Member Hike's point, I guess, Chief, do you have any professional opinion based on your work at the district for several years, going to Ashland? Not to say, again, we can't vote, we're not making a final decision tonight, I guess, but do you have an opinion, because they aren't here to represent themselves? And I'm imagining that you've been in conversation and partnership with them. And it doesn't have to be definitive, just your thoughts.
Understood. Well, there's an impact, and I think you all just kind of discussed it. If we stop or pause the manufacturing of this piece of equipment, there is a cost implication. We just don't know what that'll be. We don't know how long. So there, it's the unknowns at this point. If we do delay, of what the impact will be later on, and that's not including the price hikes, just in general. So there's a lot of unknowns with this.
All right, thank you.
This is for everybody to, training has already have a contract with us to do the work. They already contracted to do the work. It's not as if they just trying to, for a lack of a better word, I can't find a better word. Scammers, for lack of a better word, they're trying to scam. They already have a contract to do the work. It just, we have unintended circumstances that came about. So, unfortunately, sometimes when you have unintended circumstances, I've been on the work site where, something happened, and it goes back to the price goes back to the guy who's getting the job done, for lack of a better word. So I understand, and I'm trying to, hopefully they can see, they got the contract with us already. It's just an instance where something happened where now they have to come back and get more money because of certain instances. So
it's in our best interest to be able to move forward.
yes,
Yes, it's cost effective to move forward.
I think.
I think so.
So that being said,
Make a motion.
I make a motion.
I think there's still more
Mr.
discussion.
Conover? Oh, I'm
Think of more
sorry.
discussion.
There's
Okay.
more discussion. I think I see Board Member Conover.
I didn't see his mic. Mr. Conover?
Yeah, so, sorry, so this is, just so I'm understanding, is this an amendment to the this would be, it eventually would be a request to amend the contract? Or it's already within the scope of the contract?
So this project is already within the scope of the project.
And there's nothing we need to approve?
So, but what the ask is, if we choose to delay or pause the manufacturing of this piece of equipment, it's going to be the 25% that we would have to pay for canceling this equipment. So the project will basically stop until further notice, because they're in the process of manufacturing what they've already started.
So what we're approving is to be able to not delay the contract any further and move forward, because we've paused because of the weather event.
Yes.
I think he's right.
So, yes, then there is an approval that's on the table to move forward.
Madam President,
Yes.
why,
We
he's
stopped
right.
that
We don't
contract.
need to approve anything.
We
If
just
it-
say go?
We don't need to approve
That's
anything.
already part of the contract.
They already under contract with us. And they just, to get the equipment built, they just need the money within the contract,
Which is already in the contract.
right? Am I wrong
So-
wrong to a certain degree?
So Train wants to know, do we want them to stop working, or do we want them to continue working? That's all they want to know. Do we want them to stop working on the chiller for Ashland, or do we want them to continue working on the chiller? That's all Train wants to know.
That's all they want?
That's all they want, yes.
Well,
So it's back on the table.
well,
Yeah, we will
and I
continue.
hate to beat a dead horse.
That's a,
Who told them to stop?
sorry, Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Conover?
I'm not sure if this is part of a contract, that it's a governance decision, which is unclear to me if we need to be approving anything in relation to this. Like, it's an operational step. I understand there's a cost factor involved, but if it's not an amendment to the contract, and we're not approving an additional cost as a separate contract, then I'm not sure there's action for this board to take officially.
That's right. I would think that's
A district decision.
right, facilities manager said
So
we just try to make it simple, easier on you.
So I'll make an amendment. Here's what I'll do. I'll make an amendment to the motion. I'll say, I would move that we go forward with the contract that we already have in place with Train, subject to any amendments coming before the board should they involve action needed by the board.
Extra money.
Extra money, yeah. Additional cost. No.
I have a question for Dr. Barisha Day. This was put on the agenda for a reason. And it was to either stop or go forward. And you needed approval to either stop or go forward.
Correct.
And that's the only thing that's on the table right now,
That's
whether
the
or
only
not.
thing.
Pardon me?
That's the only thing that's on the table.
No, hadn't been made, motion.
We
made.
need a motion.
Well, listen, they can go forward.
Call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to table the action on train 10.2.
Second.
On the question,
Can I have a
Oh, wait,
discussion?
on the question.
I'm sorry, question?
I just,
think we need to vote on
we support you and your decision.
Let's not vote on it.
Y'all know the best what's,
This is
I
what
haven't
we
been
need
to Ashland. Y'all know the best what needs to happen, and that's
Maybe
why
why they need to
you have
be.
this job. So, thank you.
I think we made this harder than it needed to be. And sorry, we don't need the motion. We don't need the motion. We just need to say they're already under contract, allow them to move forward. In my opinion, and if I'm wrong, because if we stop, it's gonna be more money. Oh, okay. I see what he's doing. They can move forward. We just moving out of this arena. Okay.
Motion's on the floor, yeah.
Motion to move forward.
Sorry, the motion on the floor is to table the action or the item.
Yes, that's good.
You're done. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes. Good job.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. To move forward.
Table item 10.2.
Yeah.
We can. Dr. Boyd said. Dr. Boyd.
I'll make, if the president would recognize, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Pardon?
If the president recognizes, I'll make a motion to adjourn pursuant to 17.
Second.
That was quick, Mr. Hikes. Are there any more discussions?
No. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm getting ready to say.
That's what we do?
Right, Ms. Vaughn?
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Hikes,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Marston,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Dr. Collins Adams.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 9:12 p.m.
Thank you, and good night.